the universe, which talks about electricity being one of the major things in the whole trip.
Our celestial neighbor, the planet Mars. Astronomers once considered Mars to be a long, barren, and geologically dead rock in space. But since the arrival of our probes, beginning in the 1960s, the planet has come alive for us. It does not reveal the inactive and worn-down landscape astronomers and planetary scientists had expected. Nevertheless, investigators continue to apply geologic concepts based on their understanding of the Earth and the Moon. They could only see volcanism, erosion, surface movement, and surface collapse, all punctuated by episodic impacts from space over billions of years. What force created the sharply cut gouges and depressions across the surface of Mars, looking as if a giant trowel descended to scoop out material at radically different and irreconcilable depths? Running north to south, we see massive interwoven scratches or grooves extending hundreds of miles. And how remarkable that a planet only half the diameter of Earth exhibits canyons on a scale dwarfing anything seen on our own planet, and mountains that would tower over Mount Everest. Today, no planet outside the Earth has received more attention than Mars. But the mysteries and theoretical contradictions have grown spectacularly. For decades now, investigators have wondered why the two hemispheres of Mars look as if they were formed in different worlds. A southern hemisphere dominated by craters. A northern hemisphere with only sparsely scattered craters. And note the contrasting crustal depths of the two hemispheres. Shallow crust in the north, much thicker crust in the south. Why would a planet evolving in isolation display such a profound dichotomy? It's as if some unknown force excavated the northern crust miles deep. The hemispheric removal of crustal material requires a force external to Mars, acting on the planet. But when it comes to external events, scientific convention has only one thing to work with: random collisions. Could a planetoid or huge asteroid crashing into Mars have removed millions of cubic miles of crust? A shattering impact is all that theory would allow. But what would Martian history look like were we to include electrical events, events on a scale sufficient to sculpt the surface of the red planet from pole to pole? Of all the enigmatic features in the solar system, perhaps none provokes greater amazement than Valles Marineris. The largest canyon on any planet or moon, the Deep Trench Complex stretches a third of the way around the planet, hundreds of times larger than the Grand Canyon. It would reach from San Francisco to New York and beyond. Prior theory of planetary formation had never anticipated such a chasm on a small planet. What natural force excavated this colossal trench? With the arrival of the Mariner probes, NASA scientists thought the chasm could have been cut by water erosion, though nothing even close was ever achieved by water on the known watery planet, Earth. On any erosional hypothesis, 3 million cubic miles of material were removed. 3 million cubic miles, and it had to go somewhere. Neither the means of fluid drainage nor the vast outflow required are in evidence. Now we know that the Valles Marineris reaches to a greater depth than any outflow channel originally envisioned. And the tributaries imagined by some turned out to be cleanly cut alcoves and stubby depressions. They are not connected to feeder streams at all.
We are back live from Bridgeport, Connecticut, and we are a show about everything. My name is John Deecken, and we are in the studio with a lot of material to still get to. We're opening the phones up if you'd like to call up and comment on anything that you've seen or would like to see, or anything strange that you've seen in the skies around this area or around the country, because we are streaming live from soundviewtv.org. We have coming up a nice piece of music I found from about 1969 by the Poppy family, and the heat is on over here, and we're zooming in to a Mandelbrot set.
The sky was blue and icy, and all around there was no sun. It was oh so nice to be free from the city. I left behind a thing called time. It used to be that it didn't mean I felt the cleaner cleanse my mind, free from the city. Peek through your window, where did your sunbeams of smoky haze? Peek through your window, where did your sunbeams of smoky haze? The sky was blue and icy, and all around there was no sun. And it was oh so nice to be free from the city.
I was able to see 3 of those screens of the same image. I didn't have my 3D glasses with me, so I was unable to take flight on that. But that was the Mandelbrot set, and we experienced a zoom factor of probably something in the order of several billion, or even more than that. I think that's going to take us from an atom at least to Pluto as far as magnification. Well, say an electron to, well, something like that. We could keep going forever, but I think we're going to have a seizure. But again, we invite you to call. The number's on the screen, 203-345-0103. And we'll put you right on to speak your mind and tell us what you think about some of the more bizarre footage that we're going to show you here. Now, we haven't covered crop circles yet, and I think that's still considered a genuine anomaly, albeit more of a fringe thing. There's been some disingenuous debunking and all kinds of phony stuff and double reverse propaganda about the whole thing over the years. But, oh, just a moment. Let's see if I can make this work. Hello, you are on the air.
Hello, I'd like to know what your position on those mountain ranges on Mars or those canyons on Mars are, how they were formed.
Well, I'm kind of taken in with the Thunderbolt theory, which is, I should be plugging the guy's name. It's like Wallace Thornton. But if you Google Thunderbolts and Thunderbolts of the Gods is his book, it's a pretty decent theory. It covers a lot of stuff. And he basically has a great argument that somehow it must have been a large body passing Mars, didn't necessarily have to impact it, to perhaps have some static interaction that just can't imagine how that could have happened without totally destroying the orbit of the planet. But I guess it happened a long time ago, as far as whatever the our excursions there have found. What do you think?
Originally, I thought it was from water, which would seem a little odd.
Right. Well, that was the only thing that they could come up with in the early days, and it certainly makes sense because you see a bunch of eroded stuff. What else but water could have done that? And there was a great comet theory going on that it dropped off enough catastrophic water. The problem is that if you're going to say that's water, it's a catastrophic amount that clearly all happened pretty much at once. I mean, one canyon looks like it's sculpted all at one shot. There's no development, there's no erosion. It's there is water there, and I'm sure there's a lot of water on Mars, but this massive sculpting, there's no way any singular catastrophic comet-based event could have caused it. And I think the jury is out. I mean, I do think it's electric. Just don't know how it could have occurred without destroying the planet. Sir?
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Call again, please. Now, see, we handle the people with respect on the show, and we don't have any delay, and because we trust you that you won't try to sell anything or promote your own agenda. Now, thank you for calling, sir. Let's get to this little crop circle situation. First, we got a 2-minute clip, and I guarantee you here our clips, we maxed out at 6 and 7 minutes tonight, but we try to keep them to 2 minutes so we don't lose you people. This has some music, I think. It's just 2 minutes of beautiful crop circles. Okay, this is, somebody put this together. This is a trailer I found on YouTube, but it's just some great photography. Now clearly, these are hard to explain. You know, I'm not about to go crazy, but, and it's hard to believe when you see some of these things. It's like, come on. I mean, but coming up after this, we have some orb activity, UFO activity near crop circles, and it's compelling. The thing is here that if any human was to do this, they have to either dropped off by helicopter or they have to tiptoe down those tram lines. Thank you for temporarytemples.com for letting us borrow that. Now look at these guys. Whoop. Oh, hey, call back there. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Hey, get rid of me. Look at this orb flying behind me. Look at that orb. This is Milk Hill in Wiltshire, England, from maybe a number of years ago. You got several orbs flying around here. We're going to zoom in on a few of them in a second. Look at this thing. Apparently the people don't notice it. And I guess this is a field where there's a crop circle around somewhere. So maybe someone's throwing a baseball, and that's a really good arm he's got. Right? It could be a baseball. Oh, there's 2 other baseballs. He's passing the baseballs. Oh, it's pretty. Oh, and look how close he is. And it's. I thought it was far away. Here we're seeing it again.